I've never met this man before, so I don't have a cool anecdote by way to introduce him. Our mutual friend Ryan Grant, however, of Grant's MMA here in Toronto, knows this man very well and describes him this way. He's unconventionally skilled and motivated outside of the octagon, but once he steps into the octagon, he transforms into a very talented fighter that wins in capital letters. In a man bun with the same namesake as the most important bureau in sports, Elias Theodorou. Oh my gosh, Theodorou.
You got it. You cleaned it up. Yeah, you got it.
Welcome to the Cabbie Presents podcast.
No, my pleasure.
I'm such an idiot. You know what? I was like, I lost confidence in saying after when I got to Elias, and then when I read your name, I was like, oh, I'm leaking confidence, and then it came out, and I just sputtered all over myself.
To your defense, there's a lot of vowels in there, so I totally understand.
So how do your parents say your name?
Elias Theodorou.
Theodorou. Okay, just like that. So you are still actually, I know this is an audio medium for most of the people listening to the podcast, they're listening. Some people will see the video on like Instagram or maybe on YouTube or whatever, but you're still rocking a man bun.
Well, the best here in combat sports, the main event, trademark included because I own that, is keeping his persona on. And now, you never know. I
asked both our mutual friend Neil Forrester and Ryan, I was like, when did he start growing his hair? And was it three or 4 years ago? So that's kind of at the peak of like hipster culture when dudes were man buns like popping up everywhere, and then dudes with beards and all that. So and for some of us who sit on this unearned pedestal of judgment like myself, when I was judging hipsters in friggin' Trinity Bellwoods Park where I used to live, before you started growing your hair, did any of that factor in your decision to grow your hair? Or just got lazy, like, I'm just going to grow it out, get these super waves?
I kept on, especially when I started mixed martial arts, I kept on cutting it at a certain point, when you get through that awkward stage. And then, I grew my hair. I had my hair long because in a past life, I was a semi-pro skateboarder. So, I was the guy that Avril Lavigne sang about in the song. Not literally, but just figuratively. But
was it called
Skater Boy? See you later, boy.
Okay, yeah.
But neither here nor there. But, at a certain point, I thought, I timed it in regards to a fight when I had short hair. And I said, the next one will be when I have long hair. And I love the kind of the way it looks. So if it works, why not? And also, sorry to cut you off there, but the long-term goal is actually, because again, I've made this, essentially marketing component of the best hair in combat sports. I own the trademark. The game plan is actually to donate my hair.
Sick.
Yeah, so that's
amazing.
And all the different sponsors and endorsers that I do work with, collectively, the game plan is to actually raise $1 million.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then insure my hair for $1 million, but it's neither here nor there.
I met a guy once he grew his hair for 2 years just to donate it to like kids that can't grow their hair. Kids are going through chemotherapy and cancer treatments and whatnot. So that's incredible. I know that you acting is in your future or working in film. I was thinking on the way here, I was like, is this dude trying to put himself, unbeknownst to him, in front of like Benioff and Weiss, the producers of Game of Thrones? I know they're shooting. I just saw Maisie Williams, who plays Arya. She was on Kimmel like a week ago, and she was kind of smiling that she knows how Game of Thrones ends. However, but they're making like standalone seasons of the show with different characters, so they're expanding the Game of Thrones universe. I wonder if this is in like all the contingency plan. Friggin' 300, that this is part of the process. I feel like you're a man with many plans. Long game.
Long game.
As long as you're friggin' hair.
And it also helps that what I've been told is I look like every beige character from Disney.
You really do.
Yeah. Tarzan with the hair. What's it called? I can show you a whole new world.
Aladdin.
And then everyone in between.
There was a guy at my school who was like super effeminate, but he had like the best voice. So that dude, and he had like, and it was like almost like a lesson that I learned when I was like 14, that this dude had the hottest girls in school. He was friends with like the hottest girl, and he would just, and we weren't like a theater school, but he was like one of the stars of like the theater program. So he had all license just sing friggin' Aladdin and all these Disney songs in the hallway, and then
break out and dance.
He had some moves. How's your singing though?
I have
better
my
in the
moments.
shower.
Again, I will admit when I'm an amateur, but get a drink a drink or two in me, and put me up in front of a karaoke, and I can hold the tune and get some people singing and dancing.
Speaking of being on stage, I did peep your Twitter feed, Twitter actually, and Instagram feed, and I saw that you did an amateur night at Yuck Yucks, which is a comedy club or a series of comedy clubs here in Canada. How did that go? Were you actually telling jokes with like beginning, middle, and end? And like, did you work on the structure of telling jokes or crafting a joke before you went on stage? Or were you just doing impressions of like family members to get laughs?
Well, no, I talked about where I kind of find myself in life. I'm trying to step out of my comfort zone. Obviously, as yours truly being the first ring boy, which we'll definitely talk about.
Yep.
I did that as the breakout video for my YouTube channel, The Main Event, trademark included. And
wait, do you always say trademark included?
No, I just do it. That was just a running gag. Now I just got because people know. They know.
I saw TM. I saw the trademark,
I own
the
that.
logo on is either
Instagram,
Twitter or Instagram. Yeah. So anyway, sorry. Main Event.
Yes, The Main Event. So the first video was Ring Boy, which I also own the trademark. Point being. No, I thought it was a great way to start a conversation and also, more importantly, get out of my comfort zone. One of the things that my first Ring Boy outing I was so concerned about was not how I was going to do, but what other people thought. And I the same thing happened with my essentially open mic. It's an honest conversation for 5 or so minutes. They didn't have the balls to take me off stage, but more importantly, the opportunity to kind of get out of my comfort zone and, really kind of take control of it, but be honest. I talk about the
Okay, wait, but when you're being honest, were you funny? Or were you just being like super revealing, like, well, when I was 12, I was a bedwetter. And
well, it happens to the best of us. But,
you're looking at a recovered bedwetter.
I talked about, me being nervous, even as a professional fighter, someone that, gets ready mentally, physically, and even sexually to defeat any man. Well, obviously not the latter, but my girlfriend appreciates the championship rounds. See? The man's got jokes. That's all I'm saying. I'm just kidding. I get knocked out in the first round in the bedroom all the time. But she's a true partner, and she'll tap me on the shoulder and say, "You're still a champ to me." So what I'm trying to say is I'm human. But the difference is when in my job, when most people have a bad day, they, go home and eat Rolos. I get my ass kicked on national TV and then go home and eat Rolos.
Right.
What I'm trying to say is I love Rolos. This is part of the act here. I don't know if you know this.
The great thing about taking an L in the bedroom is everybody wins.
Everyone wins.
Everybody. I mean, and it's the most pleasurable type of loss that any person can take.
Well, truth be told, I've seen some very unsatisfied facial components in regards to my wife, or my girlfriend. My Freudian slip there. I hope she doesn't see that. I expect a ring sooner than I anticipated.
So, do you ever do impressions of your? Okay, so
Kermit the Frog here.
Oh,
I don't normally take home.
How was it? Here's my favorite one.
I don't normally drink, but when I do, I take home a pig.
Get it?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. But I didn't do that. No.
God, that's who's that again? That's
Swedish Chef.
Swedish Chef, yes.
There you go.
He's my favorite. He always exploded.
Yeah.
That part. I bought like a when Silver Snail was still around in Toronto. It was like a comic book shop. There were toys, toys for adults. I brought I have a Muppets.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Swedish Chef. It was Beaker and Professor Bunsen. I have like a little lab, and he's the guy that always exploded. Yep. I mistook my Muppets.
It's okay. This is a safe place. You can do that.
It is a safe place. It's very safe.
One of the really interesting things, again, is someone that puts himself out in such a vulnerable place already in regards to mixed martial arts.
Right,
and,
of course.
The idea of performing on game day, because it doesn't matter how good you were in a practice a month ago. It matters game day. It's a real role reversal in regards to kind of the entitlement the crowd has. In the sense that I can keep a crowd engaged if I'm, public speaking. But when you're on the stage, they're like, make me laugh, clown.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a little bit of that. And also, just timing. I think there were a couple of moments where, it's a little easier to, kind of figure out timing on a one-on-one conversation, but it's kind of hard to make sure that the guy in the back also heard it too.
Yeah.
But I got a couple of laughs. I got a couple of claps. I gave you some of the routine that I went through. I got at least your laugh approval.
No, I did. I would have laughed there. The championship rounds thing was
yeah.
Was
but again, I talk about my my first lesson in defeat came from my I grew up on the mean streets of Mississauga, and I was an undefeated high school fighter. And my whole identity was essentially, I used to be Mr. Beat You Up and take your girl or boy. No, I'm just kidding. But point being, and that's again part of the act here. But point being, retired, happily in a relationship. No, but again, my first real loss came after my first year university when I came back and picked a fight with someone I shouldn't have.
You're talking about and took an L in the street?
Yeah, in the street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and this time it was. Let me take you back. We're talking about 2010. It was the early introduction of YouTube. So when someone told me, Elias, I saw your last fight, and it was on YouTube, I go, what the hell? I go, what the hell is YouTube?
No.
So being the worst employee at Foot Locker. I ran in the back to go pretend I was looking for some shoes and just looking, and lo and behold, I, along with 200,000 people, have seen me take my first loss.
No.
So my whole identity up until this point is king of the burbs on the street, on the mean streets of Mississauga. So, what's it called? My daddy's
That's devastating.
Yes. I've been in many house party fights, undefeated. The hundreds of people that have seen me, undefeated. And then after my first university, I take my first major L, and it's gone viral. What the hell is viral, right? So, it was at the same time I was enlightening my mind through university, and I talked to my father. He's very stoic, and he's like, well, you'll love that UFC stuff. Why don't you make sure you never lose again? And I go, genius. I'm going to learn some things and beat this guy up. But I obviously didn't do that. I found more enlightenment in regards to, again, body and mind, and I became the person that you see today.
Oh, so what school did you go to?
Meadowvale.
So wait, 2010, were you in high school or were you in university?
I just finished my first year university. So 2009 going into 2010, I finished high school, and then after.
So what school were you at?
Meadowvale.
Meadowville
High School. Yep. MDV represent.
Okay. So yeah, that's so you were like 18 or something.
Yeah, 18,
like that.
18, 19.
That's a tough age to take an L too.
Yeah.
And then have it be recorded on the internet. Even though I love, World Star used to do these monthly compilations of like fight videos that were like 18, 19, 20 minutes. I would watch those in bed, just having the best by myself. It's like some version of Schadenfreude where you take pleasure in other people's pain. And man, maybe I even saw you and inadvertently didn't know it was you, but I enjoyed however that footage looked. I enjoyed that moment, 8 or 10 seconds, like the final moments of the fight or whatever.
So again, I was Schadenfreude, same idea. I love that stuff, and then I became one essentially. You know what I mean? Love memes, and now I'm a meme essentially, right?
Yes, you're a meme before memes were a thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a learning lesson, and that's what I kind of talk about. Like why, even though me as a mixed martial artist is terrified of jumping on stage, but one, it's a lot better than getting punched in the face. Than two, I've already lost in such a debilitating way that it could have happened. In reality, I was able to learn from it, and that's the overall kind of thought process in regards to mixed martial arts and the way you're supposed to carry yourself. It's not a loss; it's a learning lesson.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this question. What was her name?
But whose?
The person you guys were fighting over.
No, there wasn't. It wasn't actually a girl at all.
Listen, dudes, we fight about women, and if someone, you mentioned Foot Locker, if someone scuffs your sneakers, you could you might put some hands on. Like, certainly if someone does it and offers no apology and is very flagrant about it, oh, I had to catch myself once. I probably would have took an L, and it would have been on someone's phone. I wouldn't have this job now, but there was a time I was heated. I was so flagrant, just scuffing someone's sneaker. So what happened in that particular fight?
So I was at a bar, and basically someone picked a fight with one of my friends who wasn't a fighter in any capacity, right? Although I would even argue I'm a lover, but everyone's got their price. that's yours truly. But point being, I was a lot drunker at the time than I realized, and I picked a fight with someone I should have. He was the local drug dealer.
Shouldn't have.
Yeah, because he was completely sober. I was not. So I literally went to, we started pushing and arguing. We got kicked out, and we were about to fight with no training at all. I went for a Superman punch. Slip fell. He kicked me right in the face.
Oh.
I get up like the inebriated Incredible Hulk. I rip off my shirt. And,
you did?
Yeah, and obviously there's this big half naked man running after him. He jumps into a cab. I jump on the cab and start like stomping away. Let him out. He drives off. I slip, I fall, and knocked out cold. I wake up. And then look at my face. Oh, good. There's no no marks or whatever. I go to work and I'm like, worst employee at Foot Locker ever. I'm telling my friends, like, you guys will not have to believe you guys will never believe what happened. And every once in a while, some jerk will be like, can I get a size 8? And I'll be like, shut up, I'm busy. But no. And again, it was.
So what part in the video? It's the kick is what's seen, or you falling off the taxi?
No, they don't see the taxi part. Thankfully, again, that would have been a lot more.
Oh, man.
But no, they just basically see this drunk idiot at 18, 19, rip off his try to Superman punch, fall. The guy kicks him in the face. I'm that guy. I get up.
That guy being me.
That is me. What's it called? I go for a swing, or what's it called? I run after him rather, and then it just stops. So it was like an 8-second. It was all caps, boot to face. And it was just the title alone. I'm like,
that hurts my heart.
Exactly. I've embarrassed family home and abroad.
That's my heart. A question about your sport or the organization which you fight in, which is the UFC. Why is there so? Okay, 2017 you had 3 fights.
Yep.
2016, I believe there was 1 fight. And were there fights that were outside of that? League organization?
No, there isn't. So the best way to remember it, UFC is to MMA as NHL is to hockey, right?
Sure.
You can't go outside of the NHL, right?
Okay.
So it's the same idea, unless you get the pink slips, and that's not a very good look. But no, it just really depends. I think if we're going to be completely honest, the position from where I find myself from 2016 to 2017 was actually kind of reinventing myself in regards to going back to my roots as an advertiser. And I've been able to now guns a-blazing out in 2018, rebrand myself and kind of have a lot of pots kind of going. Beyond my fighting, now as a ring boy, I have my first feature film, which I'm the lead and also executive producer.
What's it called?
It's called Last Hit. It's a working title.
Wait, Last Hit?
Hit. Okay. Last Hit. And I play an MMA fighter, huge stretch, and I basically get injured. And it actually has it starts the conversation of what happens to athletes after athletics, and what if that's a lot sooner than you realize? So
so many people, it is. Yeah.
So I become I'm an MMA fighter who gets injured, and I reinvent myself through competitive video gaming. And it's a working title because we're talking to a certain couple of trademarks, Capcom. But basically, if all goes well, it will be retitled a specific video game that everyone loves.
Did Capcom? But right, yeah. I was going to say Street Fighter. I'm trying to remember the music, and then the logo comes up at the beginning, and then I was always
Blanca. There you go.
I'm sorry.
Well, you're looking at Vega if all goes well.
No, you don't want to be Vega.
Or Dan. The other option is Dan. Dan, because again, the whole idea is
you could pull off Vega and be very theatrical, and then have the mask and I think he had claws, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about, you're just segueing into Ring Boy, as we're Octagon now to the ring, and you've already done one of these.
Yep. I did it at a regional show called MFL.
Here in the GTA?
It was in Montreal.
In Montreal. So, because you're training at TriStar now, right?
I bounce back and forth.
Okay.
So again,
and you can explain that to people
at Grants,
too.
And then also at TriStar, and then Titans as well. But again, it was an opportunity for me to kick the door wide open with my first video, and in a way to do what I'm trying to do in regards to getting myself out of my comfort zone, but more importantly, start a conversation. And the conversation I'm trying to have is that in the true pursuit of equality, the answer is more, not less. And one could look at specifically in UK where this I guess new profession has been getting a lot of traction in UK.
Oh, really? Because men are being ring holders.
No, they actually removed women as ring card holders for all Formula One and all darts.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that Formula One for sure.
obviously, when I did the video, the first video in regards to my YouTube channel, Ring Boy. The whole idea was done in a classy, professional, but still fun way. Like, I'm not trying to make fun of the females that have the job. In fact, I'm trying to show that someone that is not going to take himself too seriously, have fun while he's doing it, and is not going to be told by anyone else he can't do it because I dare you to tell him to. No, point being, when I finished the video, I took it to Shannon Knapp, which is the president of Invicta, which is an all-female fight league, and I basically said, started the conversation. What do you think? And I would love to make this a real thing at your organization. And she jumped on it. Again, we're going to do it in a very classy way with athletic shorts, and I'm going to have like a robe like this, which still presents the assets. But
wait, are you going to be shirtless so you can see?
But you're going to see
the pecs and the abs. Yeah, you got to see the work that you've been putting in.
Yeah, I'm going to get in the best shape ever. The whole actual, again, bringing it back to the brands that I work with, my supplement company and food company that I work with. The whole campaign for this is performance and show. Because I'm doing both. That's the both worlds. But again, it can't turn it off. But
which is to our benefit because it's highly enjoyable. Are you so the YouTube channel, is it the main event or is it Ring Boy?
It's the main event.
Main
event's the first one that came out. My open mic will be the next one. I have there'll be training in between. I also have the next venture that I plan on doing is actually, it's going to tackle bullying and trolling online. As someone that is putting himself out there in a non-traditional way, obviously there's some haters and some Russian bots that are, definitely coming my way.
Bots.
So many Russian bots.
So many bots.
So many bots. But it's still 70% positive and 30% negative. And even with the 10%, it's really weird with just the way social media is, and you can interact with people that you didn't think that you would. And part of this is the weird part where someone will say a derogatory thing to me, and I'll be like, hey, and I'll try to kill him with kindness, and he goes, oh, I just didn't think you would even answer. Oh, I'm actually a huge fan, but I just wanted your attention.
Yeah,
and
I hate that too.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing.
It's
the weirdest thing. Again, it's in that instant gratification we all have. If we didn't answer him in a day or two, now we're the worst enemy. Because with love, love and hate are the same emotion but flipped.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Getting deep here.
No, that's interesting. I don't know if I agree with that. But that's part of.
But in positive, negative, because again, it just goes back to if you want to extrapolate in regards to light and dark. Light is nothing more than dark is nothing more the absence of light, and vice versa.
That I agree with. But love and hate, like people like.
But
not to get too serious, but like people die out of hate.
People die out of love too.
Do they?
Yeah, people sacrifice themselves in regards to someone that they care about all the time.
Man, this is not Romeo and Juliet. And although you might look like William Shakespeare, he may have looked like you, in
I'm a composite.
1530 or whenever he lived in England. But
man bun and all.
Yes.
To man bun or not to man bun? That is the question.
You probably did have one. Yeah, he had some locks for sure. Your locks are quite impressive. I didn't want to make this solely about your hair because so many people ask you about your hair, but it's quite impressive. Now that your energy is in so many different directions, you're making your own content. You're speaking. You might be doing like an anti-bullying campaign. You're still training, and then you have this other movie on the side. So when will you fight again? For the people that know you primarily as a UFC fighter or MMA fighter. Is there a date on the horizon, or is there a conversation towards like the next time you'll appear in the octagon?
Yep.
Or do you have to go do all this stuff first, and then we won't see you till friggin' November of 2018 or the December 30 card or whatever the UFC always has right before New Year's Eve?
I'm a man of many hats, although contractually I can't wear any thanks to PERT Plus. But point being,
is that real?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a PERT Plus? Okay, yeah.
I'm North American brand ambassador for PERT Plus, the original 2-in-1, and
makes
still
sense.
the best.
Makes total sense.
So, point being, my next fight will probably be in April or May.
This year.
Yeah, this year. again, there's 24 hours in the day, and I'm a professional mixed martial artist for at least 2 to 4 of them each and every day. And I love my job. So I got into mixed martial arts, obviously, in a non-traditional way, but I fell in love with it because of the true pursuit of the fighter's journey. And I get to do that, whether it's training in Montreal or fighting all over the world and learning from everyone. No one has a monopoly on talent, information, passion, et cetera, et cetera. And I just want to learn from everyone because it's all about the journey.
So the gym in Montreal, TriStar, you also mentioned Titan. TriStar, its most famous athlete is George St. Pierre,
yep.
Yes?
And then Rory McDonald more recently.
Is also at TriStar? Yep. And then so you started at Grant MMA here in Toronto.
Yep. I still train there. Again, with mixed martial arts, it's all about learning from everyone. And part of the capacity of at Grant's is the idea I don't want to be the best in the room, right? You want to get out of your comfort zone and you want to get in front of people that you've never met before. And TriStar is one of those gyms that has, harnessed the idea of the fighter's journey, and it has a very open door policy. So, I'll get prospects from all over the world. There'll be an 8-0 guy from Germany, an amateur from Sweden, and you get to break your toys. They go home and they come back again. I'm half kidding about that. Obviously, I'm a good training partner, but the most important thing is getting to learn and, the idea of a plateau is very real in many regards.
So, so you fight at 185 and
happy weight right now.
Yeah, you are. Oh, dude, I've been living happy weight. I'm about 250, but oh my God, I need to trim down. I need to go on just start drinking Hydroxycut with my friggin' Captain Crunch. What would be because George St. Pierre is an icon in Canada and he's revered in that world. I mean, if you went on a roll, you won 2, 3, 4 fights in a row, and then you're elevating, you're moving up the rankings. Would it be disrespectful to challenge George?
Obviously, everyone has a price, but I think with George specifically, it comes to where his actual hierarchy in regards, not even hierarchy, rather. Story arc is. He's more looking for certain types of fights that, one, pay what he thinks he's worth, and two, will get garner the certain hype. I think he's not looking at yours truly in middleweight. He's looking at someone the name of Conor McGregor and, finding somewhere in between to meet, because that's where all the money's is.
Oh, yeah. That's McGregor's he fights at 155.
155, but he also fight at 170.
Oh, to fight Nate Diaz or whatever? One of the Diaz brothers?
Yeah, because it was a last-minute fight, and then basically...
the first one or the second one was
the first one was a last-minute fight. So his opponent was injured, and that was... It was Dos Anjos. There was an opportunity for Nate Diaz, and when they called him, he said he was basically on a yacht in Mexico having a Mai Tai, and they're just like, yeah, this is the one we're going to get. This is the guy. And then it didn't work out because,
Because Nate won that fight.
Yeah. So Vince McMahon, when he first took a look at mixed martial arts in the UFC, he kind of laughed at it because you can't control the stars. One of the rumors is that he was going to potentially buy it years ago.
Before the Fertitas.
Yeah. Well, no, I think somewhere in between.
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't exactly know. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But I don't want anyone to be like fake news. So point being...
Well, listen, this is a fact-free podcast. So you're all
truthful hyperbole.
Yes, exactly.
So point being, no, again, as much as they want to nudge it in a direction, and they would love for someone like, Nate Diaz potentially to fight Woodley, and then Nate fighting or winning, and then there's Conor McGregor potentially being the 145, 155, 170 champion, and then you have, lo and behold, the kingpin of 170 come out,
George
and
if
McGregor wins, then he can say that he was also technically the rightful heir of the 185 because George just won that.
Right, beat Bisping.
So then there's four. But again, there's a lot of that Game of Thrones thing we were talking about.
Yeah,
with a
no
lot
doubt.
Of long game.
No doubt. Oh my gosh, that'd be crazy. But Woodley would have to lose, which I don't.
Yeah,
see.
Exactly. He's
that
too
guy's
good.
thighs, dude. I feel like he could squat a Hummer. Like the dude is like he's got like NFL player thighs,
and he can be from here to here in an instant, and with a fist out in front of you the whole time.
I was. Okay, so I was watching The Bachelor last night with my girl. Okay.
Yep.
I was thinking about the process to get on that show, and it being one of the more famous reality shows. Now, in the world of sports reality shows where you actually have to have talent in order to win. You had the talent, you had the drive, determination, all those wonderful things to win the UFC, the Ultimate Fighter Nations Cup. No,
what
was it called?
The Ultimate Fighter Nations. I was the first Canadian to win that.
First Canadian to win that. So being a guy that was a little bit of a knucklehead at Meadowvale, and then deciding, okay, I'm going to pursue this legitimately, and I'm going to clean up some of the the party stuff, which is the most fun. But anyway,
we'll work hard, play hard.
Exactly, yeah. I only play hard. So what was the was there an audition process, or how do you get on that show's radar, and then you became the champion of that show?
Yeah, well,
do you remember that time?
Yeah, it's open to all that have a three or more fight career. Then you have to be in a positive, like for the most part, you have to have a winning record. I was 8-0 at the time, and we're in Canada. So again, I can fight, and I didn't look half bad for the ratings. So they're like, this seems like a good idea. Obviously, there's a process in between, and we're not allowed talking about that because there's also a $5 million non-disclosure.
What do you mean?
There's $5 million non-disclosure. I can't talk about certain things.
On the show?
Yeah, there's certain things I can't talk about.
Okay, fine.
But it's neither here. No, but more importantly,
does it have to do the audition process? Or,
yeah, I know. But again,
we're talking about
all of the
when
above.
you went to
all of the above.
Now I want to unpack that. Like, what is this little? We want to go down that little tunnel.
No, but the thing with that is, like you said, knucklehead. I actually got to
my word, not your word.
But I'd like to say that I was on a show with 15 other like-minded knuckleheads.
Yeah.
Who are trying to achieve the dream in a almost of if we're going to go on the reality-based thing, it's a big brother with punching and kicking, and the ultimate opportunity to get no bragging here, but a 6-figure contract with the UFC and cement myself in history. And fun fact, I actually didn't work out with timing, but I was actually asked at one point to be a part of The Bachelor Canada and bailed on it. Fun fact on top of that, my girlfriend was actually the one that she was dating, the one that they went with before she dated me. So my girlfriend actually dumped the Canadian Bachelor.
Oh, he's a restaurateur now, I think.
No, I don't think
Brad
the last
Smith?
one. Not that one. No, there's
the guy
like
after
3.
him?
Yeah, there's 3 of them.
Okay.
But anyway, so like the second one, Mr. Runner-Up. But what's it called? She broke up with him just before she met me, and we both like that weird 6 degrees of separation.
Wow.
I was in the running for Bachelor Canada, and my girlfriend dumped the eventual Bachelor Canada.
You probably would have never met her.
So I technically won Bachelor Canada.
You did, yeah. In a way, you did, yeah.
Many hats.
Yes. Wow, man. There's like 7 different things that you do. That's very cool. That's very cool. So wait, you're still with your lady now?
Yeah, 3 years.
And this is the lady, the young lady that you were in Amazing Race Canada with?
Yes.
That's gotta put a relationship to like such an extreme
But if
test.
we can make that, we can
I
make
guess
anything.
that's true. That's true.
She doesn't make fun of me too much. And fun fact with that, that was actually the largest, and I'm pretty sure still is, largest sports broadcast in Canadian history. And I was directly responsible in regards to marketing for an upswing of 20%. So
Really?
even when I'm last, I'm first.
Right, and that certainly applies to those championship rounds that you mentioned.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier.
Yes, baby.
And with your last, if you're last, you're definitely first.
Exactly.
I don't know why I just took that turn, but anyway, listen, I'm a recovering dirtbag. That's really what I'm trying to say. Okay, so the next time we could see you publicly, other than here at TSN, and you're doing various interviews and stuff, is it March 24th? Is when?
March 24th at Invicta 28 in Salt Lake City.
Invicta is it a North American league or
it's specifically more in that general area? But it's streamed live on Fight Pass, which is actually the largest, one of, if not the largest, stream-based subscriptions.
Okay.
So hundreds of thousands of people will see me make my Ring Boy debut at Invicta, and looking to have a good time while doing it.
So will you be doing crunches up until like if the show starts at 7, will you be doing crunches till about like 6:55, 6:57, 6:58?
All day, every day.
And you're just gonna be eating cherry tomatoes, water.
Exactly. Yeah, well, there's a little bit more of a regimen to it. Obviously, I'm very lucky with both my sponsors in regards to supplements and meal prep. And they're going to get me ready for both performance and show. And I'm going to, train to be in the best shape of my life, to, make my debut, to make sure that it's a reoccurring gig.
Nice.
And more importantly, leverage that off into slingshot that off into my next fight, which will probably be the month or the month after that.
So when can we, so there's nothing concrete yet, but when can we expect an announcement? After, you said...
It's looking like in about a week or two I'll be able to talk about a fight. But I'm April, May, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Again, non-disclosure things.
There's so much I want to talk to this man about, but so much I cannot talk to this man about because he's got 17 NDAs floating out there. But it was a pleasure talking to you about the stuff that I can talk to you about. And you have a fan here, and I'm sure as more and more people get to know you and experience you, you'll have more legions of fans. So wish you nothing but the best, my friend.
And right back at you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Elias Theodorou.
You got it.
Did I get that? Yeah. No, I didn't go with that. Elias Theodorou.
There you go. Boom.
On Cabbie Presents.